Yes.
I have a request. Would you show how to present the second stanza of 72E? The reason why I ask about that is because there's a rest on that first, in the third measure, I guess it is. And in the second stanza, there's no comma there.
Yeah.
Or no punctuation.
Yep.
How are we supposed to do that?
So, so if it's me, I wouldn't take the rest. I think if you have a rest in there. And go from Sheba's realm, then be given. Because you can pretty naturally just sing right through that without taking the rest.
Yes.
So I think you can just go right ahead and sing. You guys, we're looking at before we get started here. Look at 72E. The 72E, there's a rest on the second measure, and Liz has pointed out that the second stanza there's no punctuation. So I was telling you don't breathe when there's no punctuation, and so how do you take a rest without stopping? And my advice is just keep going. Don't sing the rest that time. So on the second stanza, may he live and gold from Sheba's realm then be given as a gift to him. I actually think that's even easier than trying to take the rest. So that's what I would do.
Thank you.
Yes, I see your chat there. I don't always see the chat, so thank you for saying something.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's time to get started here. I just said we're getting started. You already have a question? Okay, go ahead. What's up?
So, how exactly, like with 72E, like how do you do when it's like in different parts? How do you present that?
So you see in 72E that we were just looking at, there is the melody in the alto part hold out part of the word and in that fourth line, and then the men sing these extra words. And so the same rule of thumb applies. You sing the melody part. So you just hold out that from oppression. Oh, wait, I did that wrong. I counted that wrong. But you just sing the melody part. So you don't sing those extra words, and you let the men take care of that. The other men take care of that.
The other men.
Right, the other men. Yes, yes. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I gave you a really short little handout today because today is not about information. Today is about practice. So if you don't know already, all of you here in person, I would like to try leading a psalm today. And I'm not gonna record that part. The part that's going on YouTube is not gonna include your practice. The Zoom folks will stick around for the practice, obviously. And then when we get through the people here in person, if any of you online would like to try leading a psalm on Zoom, you're welcome to. We can get to that point. When we get to that point, what we'll do is we'll mute everybody else so that we can sing along with you, and you'll just sing sort of by yourself. So you could be thinking about that if you want to try doing that. But before we do that, I want to give you a brief reminder of what I've called just the 5 steps to lead a psalm. I've tried to boil this down. If you have your Shawnee booklet on page 3, Ron has a longer list of things that you need to do, and he's right about all those things. 14 things the presenter does. But I find that kind of daunting to think about 14 things at once. So I've tried to boil it down to 5 absolute basic things. And so we're going to go through those here real quick. This is, and as I say there on your handout, these steps assume that you've already done the work of figuring out what the tune is, figuring out what the key signature is, figuring out which note it starts in the triad of the 1-3-5, all those sort of background things. This is just what you do when you come up to lead a psalm. Now, I am a terrible presenter, and I forgot my pitch pipe today. But there, did you say the same? Okay, but I have this handy dandy app that even looks like a pitch pipe. They have other ones that are more popular that don't look like a pitch pipe, but I want one that look like a pitch pipe. So this is what I use all the time. It's very handy to have. But when you come up, or even before you come up, the first step is to blow the key note on the pitch pipe. If you've never seen a pitch pipe before, if you don't have one and you do want to lead the singing, I would really recommend getting a physical pitch pipe. It saves fiddling with your phone and all these things that could go wrong. It really makes a difference just to have a physical pitch pipe in your hand. And I know some of your homes have pitch pipes in them already, but if not, recommend getting one if you can. But the idea here is it has a little hole that corresponds with each note. The notes are on the face of the pitch pipe. And so that has the letters that we've been learning, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then it has a hole in between each lettered note, and that's your sharp or your flat, right? So that's what we've been talking about, those in-between notes, and that's how a pitch pipe works, is you just pick the hole that you want, either a lettered note or a sharp or flat in between them, and you blow the pitch. So if I am singing 100A, I would look at 100A, and it's in the key of G, so I would do a G on my pitch pipe here. That's first step. Then I already know, because I've done my prep work, that it starts on that first note. It starts on the key note. So I know I want to end up on the key note when I hum the note for everybody. So I would hold up my hand and I would go, I did the 1, 3, 5, and then back to the starting note. And you guys are all ready to go. You're looking at me, right? And then what I've taught you to do is to beat one beat before the starting beat, right? So you go, all people that on earth do dwell. Okay? And then I say keep waving. This is from Ron's booklet, but keep waving a steady, well-defined beat once you've started. And then the last thing is on the last note, I would say, come ye before him and rejoice. And I hold out that last note, cut it off with my hand, and stop singing. Right? Those are the most basic steps of what it takes to lead a psalm. If you aren't able to do the triad and sing the 1, 3, 5, that's okay. If you just hum the starting note, you get the starting note, you hum it, you hold up your hand, you wave one beat before you want people to start singing with you, and then you do the beat while we're singing, and then hold that last note and cut it off. Those are your 5 steps. Blow the key note, hold up your hand and hum the triad, start waving one beat before you sing, wave while you're singing, and then the last note cut off. All right.
I have one question.
Yes, questions.
So like when you end it and then you go into a second verse but it has a pickup note, do you still do the before beat that it starts?
Yes, good question. So the question was, do you still do the extra beat before you start singing the next stanza? And the answer is yes. So every time between stanzas, you still do an extra beat because you're all still taking a breath together. So you still do the extra beat before you start the next stanza. That's all the content I have for you today. Any questions or other comments? All right, go ahead. Oh, sorry, just a second. We have one more here. Go ahead, Lydia.
Are you going to make us do the entire triad, or can we just sing the starting note for right now?
If you don't feel confident doing the triad, you can just do the first note today. But I would strongly encourage you to try doing the triad. It's fine if you can't. Really, if you don't want to today, that's perfectly fine. We're just getting started. This is the first time I've had you stand up and do it with your classmates. So that's perfectly fine if you want to just do one note. Yes, we have a question?
Just similarly to 72E, if you have a psalm where the bass or tenor starts like 98A before the melody, do you just beat it and not sing anything and then sing with the melody?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so Psalm 98A, and congratulations, by the way, Maria, on your little baby. I'm impressed that you're with us today. So 98A or 119X are these psalms where the men start without the women. 119W, sorry. Oh man, I'm showing my age here. No, 119W or 98A the men come in before the women's parts or the melody, and normally I've told you to sing the melody. See, as a man presenting, I've always sung the bass part along with them at that point. And so I don't have any times where I'm not singing because I go ahead and sing the bass part with them. But I wouldn't recommend doing that as a woman presenting. I think I would just encourage you just to keep doing the beat and look really hard at some man that you know is supposed to be singing the part. Make sure he does his job. I don't know. I'm not sure if any of you who do present that are women. How have you done that before?
For me, like with 119W, we don't do it very often because we're small and we don't have all the parts. But when we do, I just try and compensate for all the spots where there are rests, really. If we have enough people on parts, then I won't, but...
So you will go ahead, you'll sing the bass part just an octave higher?
So we have basses, so
okay.
The basses will start, but there's the tenor line and there's an alto line.
Yep.
And we don't have very many of those parts, so sometimes I'll sing the tenor into the alto into the soprano.
Okay, that makes sense, yes.
Soprano has rest the whole time.
Okay. And functionally, the bass is the most critical because the tune has to keep going. Anybody else that have a different way of doing that?
If there was no bass, I'd
Right. Yeah. If you're not sure that there's going to be a bass part, if you're not sure that somebody's going to pick it up, you could maybe go ahead and sing the bass part an octave higher. That'd be another way to do it. Well, yeah, that's a pretty low. Well, no, they're not too low. I think you could sing it an octave higher. But those are tunes that you really have to have a group. You have to have some guys that can do the bass part. I think for it to usually for it to happen. But yes, yep.
Brian, I do the same thing that Alice does, and we've had sometimes a really small group in our second service, and when we used to have the second service, and we in person. So I do the same thing that Alice does because we just don't have that many people.
Yeah. So you can sort of, as a presenter, you can sort of fill in those parts as needed through that. So when I sing, if I do sing the bass, I'm not a bass. I don't have a good low range, so I'll start singing with the basses, but I'll always switch to the tenor to try to fill in the tenor part. So you are kind of the last line of defense as the presenter to keep things moving, and sometimes that's going to mean you got to just sing whatever notes need to be sung. And I guess in 119W and 98A, sometimes that may mean singing even the bass part an octave higher.
An octave higher.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Are we ready to go? I will even, for your own peace of mind, I'm going to go back and turn off the computer that's recording so that you know that it's not going to be recorded.
Are we